So, does anybody want to like share anything before we get our first guest here in like 14 minutes, 13 minutes? This
Please
is the
do.
time
Why
to
am I the
do
only
so.
person dabbling up here? Come on, folks.
Well, Lido did ask how your day was the other day, Jenny.
This is true.
Oh, he asked about my night. Oh, it was nothing special, really. We just learned that, Trump is running again for president. That's
Oh, was
about,
that it now? Finally?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Can't wait for the late night TV tonight. Should be good.
But I didn't really do anything exciting last night. I was just chilling. I'm still recovering. This COVID like really got to me. Like I'm not 100% there. I still have a little bit of a cough and sometimes, chest pains and things like that and a little bit of vertigo. Just some crazy things that just kind of stuck around. And so I've been keeping it pretty chill lately. I don't really do much. Just do stuff in the house and getting ready for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna host Thanksgiving in my house. So I have a friend coming from Argentina. She gets here like next Tuesday and just getting the house ready, which is always awesome. It's also my little twin nephew's birthday right on Thanksgiving, so we're gonna have double celebration. So I've been kind of focusing on that. Thanksgiving is right around the corner already.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We have to share what our favorite like Thanksgiving dishes are. Like everyone needs to come up at the end or now and like share some like really great dishes because I know it's coming up and I think it's really helpful to like get new
Bacon.
ideas.
Like you must have really great recipes because your
I know,
cooking looks
right?
delish.
Yeah, Coke time.
So yeah, usually when Thanksgiving happens, it's a lot of people. And, only recently have I become a real adult in the world. So I'm really used to my family kind of just like taking over and doing everything. And actually lately they've kind of been what is it called? Where we'll just like order and pick up a bunch of food. Um, like what is it called? Oh my gosh. I'm blanking right now. Like catering. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So recently my family's kind of gotten into catering because it's just a lot of work when you have like 20 people to kind of cook for the day before and the day of. And usually it's like two turkeys and it's like really crazy. And then of course my family likes to be all fancy, so they'll have like china out and stuff, and then you have to like hand wash everything. So it's just been like a lot of work in the past, and I think slowly now we're just kind of getting it catered, kind of making dishes here and there. But that's kind of how my family does it.
Yum. Yeah, I don't
Yeah, it's
know.
wild in my place. Like everybody's like bringing all kinds of food. It's just ridiculous. Like it's like crazy. We have like you said, like two turkeys. I don't know. As a Venezuelan, it's really hard for me to get used to the whole turkey thing. We don't really eat turkey there. I've never been a turkey person, but I mean I can eat it, but it's just not my thing. So I always add the Latin style. So we have turkey for this one wants turkey, and then we have you know our I we usually make what we usually do in Christmas over there, which for those who eat pork that might not like it, but yeah, it's like slow cooked and in a very particular way, and it's
Mm.
always a dish that gets everybody everybody loves it. It's really good. But my brother has been bringing now like his deep fryer, so he's been deep frying turkey, and I'm like, okay, I can join on that one. But I just don't care much for turkey. But we usually have like a traditional turkey and a deep fried turkey now, and then what I do, and everybody brings everything else, and all kinds of recipes that come from generations of all kinds of corn breads and um what is a sweet potato? All kinds of sweet potato dishes too. My goodness, so many sweet potatoes. My mom's like from North Carolina, right? So she's got a lot of Southern recipes that have been around the family. So she's always making those, and then I just bring in my Latin style to the table. And then my brother, he married my sister-in-law. She's from Belarus, so she makes very particular salads. They're like Russian style. They're really good. And potatoes. She makes all kinds of amazing potatoes. So it's like a mix. We really have like a feast of like a multicultural feast.
I love that. I know that like deep frying turkeys became a trend recently. Like, is it any different than a regular turkey? What's up with that?
It's not one that you want to reheat. You want to kind of like eat it. It's like fried chicken. So it's like very juicy, very like, you get crunchy and juicy, so it's never dry. Um, but it is something that you want to do carefully, right? Like I've done it myself, not in a deep fryer like the one that he has. That's not dangerous as the other ways of doing it, but it could be dangerous.
We are deep
Like
frying the
just
entire chicken, like the whole thing.
The whole turkey, the whole
yeah,
turkey.
you just dip
Tur-
it in there. Yeah,
Turkey.
the whole thing.
Wow, that sounds delicious. I'm not gonna
Crazy.
lie.
I try to recently I've been like cooking Brussels sprouts and bringing it and try to try to help the family be healthier because I know a lot of people bring dishes and but usually it's like a sweet potato casserole, but then it has like marshmallows on top. And then just like it's so much of like bacon and I mean it's all really great food, not denying that. So when I bring stuff, I try to bring like here are some vegetables in like a light oil and like that's it. But the way it gets cooked, it like tastes good and everyone likes it. But it's really funny because it's like I'm like
I
the
do the
only one
same thing,
bringing
girl. Like I do
vegetables.
a big spread of veggies and fruits and things like that because I'm the same way like you. I'm like, you have to counter people. Like this is just ridiculous. So I definitely put a lot of veggies on the table. Like for snacking, like I do a big spread with like cheese and like all kinds of veggies and fruits and I get the kids to eat a little better too.
Welcome to the stage, McKaylee. Welcome back to Twitter, Shirley Lowe. Um, Wait, is that the real Shirley Lowe? No.
No, no, that's not. It's
Okay.
like the community refuses to let her go, so we had to.
Wow. Okay. How are you doing this morning,
She's
McKaylee?
Shirley. Did you see? It's Shirley.
I just saw that. I was like, wow. So we just have people going spaces now just to be Shirley Lowe. That's a full-time job. It was everywhere, I should say.
It's like somebody has to do it, right?
Yeah. Oh man. Wait. Oh, McKinley is in here and Harmonic is in here. This is so confusing. My mind just got blown. Um, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I had to change the profile picture of the personal profile. Otherwise, I was getting confused. I myself.
How are
I like
you?
the picture. It's good to see your face, my friend.
Yeah, you've definitely got that Italian emo vibe going.
Yeah, I mean, I had to dox me anyway because otherwise no one would have been able to recognize me at the summit, which is in a couple of days. So it was necessary. And anyway, yeah, it's noon, so I cannot. uh, my morning has passed from a while. It's possible.
No, I'm having
No, no.
difficulties here. Sorry, I'm connecting with my headphones. Sorry.
Right, great. So shall we do? I don't know, a Lido minute before we start. Since I'm quite early.
It's no worries. You are more than welcome to be early. I think Lido's taking a minute as well to adjust. But I guess a good intro question is, how do you like your coffee if you drink coffee?
Yeah, I do drink coffee as an Italian. I mostly do espressos. So no big cups of coffee, just concentrated. I like it that way.
That's awesome. Do you make it yourself or do you go to cafes?
Yeah, sure. I do it myself. I don't know if it is something used in the rest of the world, but I used to make it in the mocha, um, which I don't really know how to explain how it is done. Basically, you put the water uh, on fire. There is the coffee uh, in a little place, a dock, and then when the water boils, um, the steam and all that makes the coffee pour up in the upper part of the mocha, and that yeah, basically is makes the coffee more concentrated. Sometimes I use also to do it on a little machine. So when I'm on Ari, especially because the mocha process takes some time. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I think the mocha pot is pretty popular in a lot of Latin countries and in that community as well. I have two different type of mocha pots, so I also occasionally will make it as well. I think it's a lot of fun. It's really cool for all the listeners. It's kind of like a little kettle, and you just add the grinds to the bottom, and then you screw on the top, and then the water in the bottom boils and gets pushed through the coffee grounds. And then up on the top, it's kind of like a chimney or a funnel, and all the coffee kind of gets like spouted out, and then you can like pour it as a shot. Yeah, it's really awesome. I enjoy it.
It becomes almost a rite, uh, an event to assist when the coffee pours up.
Have you ever tried pour overs? I'm curious.
No, actually I have, but yeah, I prefer it. I don't know if it is the Italian blood speaking now, but I prefer it much more if it is either from a machine, so pour it from the top to bottom, or in the mocha. In pouring the water on top, like much like the tea. I think it at least from my point of view removes lots of the taste of the coffee.
Dope.
Sweet.
Without further ado,
I was doing
oh
the
yeah,
lighter here.
I guess I do say sweet. Sweet. Um, let's give our guests a nice round of emojis. Get the hearts, the claps, the hundos going. You're listening to Cardano Over Coffee. We're here Monday to Friday, 2:30 p.m. UTC for 2 hours. We typically have two guests. Today our guests are Harmonica and then Gucci after this. Tweet out the space if you haven't yet. And not Harmonica, Harmonic Labs, aka Michaeli. Welcome, my good sir. How are you this morning? Oh, afternoon.
Yeah, I'm fine. I had my coffee, so I'm ready to start, I'd say.
Great, great. I just scan the crowd and I see at least one person that I don't recognize. So they may not recognize you as well. So why don't you just give us a brief intro of who you are and the short version of how you came into Cardano?
Sure. So the person speaking behind this profile is Michele. Um, I'm relatively a young person, if we want, that is in nature curious, and this curiosity is what led me first in crypto and then in Cardano. I was led into crypto by researching Bitcoin. I was that was kind of my first introduction to cryptography, all the hash algorithms, how to implement them. I'm, as you may understand, I tend to be quite technical, and that is what makes I have fun doing technical stuff, and that is basically how I got into crypto. I know that is quite different than the vast majority of the space. I, of course, use them as a direct consequence also to speculate sometimes, but really what fascinates me about all this space is the tech part. And I know it's quite funny to say I'm here for the tech, but this is really what I feel. Um, being passionate for the tech, Cardano was just a direct implication. Is definitely one of the most, if not the most, advanced from the tech point of view. And so, being also curious, I decided to set up a stake pool, and then deep dive into all the smart contract world. That is what then led to the Harmonic laboratories. The all this path led to the creation of PluTS, which is a library now released. I believe it's a month, probably a bit less, that has been released, that allows to create smart contracts using TypeScript. And a library such this one, which may be one of the pillars of the dApps creations in the entire ecosystem, needs to be supported. Meaning the ecosystem needs to grow on top of this library. There are endless possibilities that needs to be supported. And as an example, you can take existing libraries such as Plutus-TX or Plutarch. All those libraries, Plutarch specifically, are the libraries that they are because there are quite a lot of teams behind the project and that are building on top of the project. So the purpose of Harmonic Laboratories is exactly this. At least the main one is to guarantee that some kind of environment on top of LTS is created and sustained. So this is the reason of creation, one of the reasons of creation, if we want. And this is also the short, I hope short at least, story of how, as a person, I myself got into Cardano.
That is a very interesting take on short, and I love it. Well, let's get into what it is you wanted to share with us today. You can spend some few minutes going through that, and then we can get into Q&A.
Sure.
Mic is yours.
The main reason I'm here today is to get the people to know about what Harmonic laboratories are doing and what is the vision. I said one of the reason is to build an environment on top of LTS, but really, what is the main reason that pushed to the creation of Harmonic laboratories is that currently the Cardano ecosystem tends to lack to properly decentralized applications. And by properly decentralized application, I usually propose always this test to understand if an application is decentralized. Say for whatever reason, the protocol is has some constraints. As an example, it comes to governments and says, okay, decentralized protocols are not are no longer legal, and so everyone that developed that protocol is forced in a certain way to get out of it. If the protocol is still able to work, then in that case you can consider the protocol decentralized. If not, then we have a problem. And the reason of Harmonic Laboratories is exactly this. Who knows me as a person knows that what knows that the main reason I'm here. I mean, I got here by all the curiosity, but I stay here for this decentralization. I'm really in love of the concept of decentralization, and for this reason, who knows me as a person also knows that I tend not to use some of the applications, or I do use them rarely uh, if I know that there could be some centralized part in the protocol. And this is not only a not only a bias that I have myself, but we are also seeing from recent events that what are the causes, often, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, what are the causes of acts of people losing lots of money, sometimes even lifetime savings, is the fact that the protocol itself is centralized. So from my point of view, decentralization is really probably the only way out, and that is why at all Harmonic Laboratories exists. In fact, if you on the website, which is really a very, very basic website, but it serves its purpose to show what Harmonic Laboratories is doing. We propose as a service to help teams building what their project is, and we do this respecting the view of Harmonic Laboratories, which is to keep it as decentralized as possible and to come with solutions that are actually decentralized. By decentralized, of course, it means that either there is no backend, or if there is a backend, it is highly available so that anyone can spin up a backend. From if you were to look at Cardano as an example, it needs a backend, which are the nodes, but the nodes are highly available, meaning that anyone can clone the Haskell repository and set up a node on its own. So this is one of the requisites to make it a decentralized protocol. I hope it answers why what is the product and why it is here.
Super cool. I saw EPA come up and TCT come up. Did you guys have any questions? And if anybody else has questions about Harmonic Labs and the service or Pluto's TS, come up and do the hand thing. The people who are already up here, do you have any questions for the man?
Yeah, I mean, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So all right, so I see what you've done. It's pretty impressive. And now what's the business model to like continue this? Do you take on clients, or do you just attempt to like raise funds to continue building out, open source?
As a service, of course, we are available for anyone who wants to leverage what are the features of PluTS to build their products with PluTS. But we will also, especially once PluTS is a little bit more mature, we are not too far from it. Harmonic Laboratories as itself will also release some dApps, or if are not decentralized, it will be properly specified. But it will release also some applications that will be part of the ecosystem on top of PluTS that was mentioned before. So we will also hopefully launch proper applications as soon as the time is in favor. And of course, the announcement of these projects that are on the to-do list will be done on this profile, not on the personal one, because are actually product of Harmonic. Relating the founding, I think it's also important to mention the Harmonic Laboratories as its own is all self-founded, meaning that most of it comes from pool rewards or my funds itself, or and like a small part is comes from a loan taken in shitty fiat to cover for the setup of the company itself. So on the long run, then if for whatever reason Harmonic Laboratories should not have any clients, still it will be able to release products. So that should allow to then hire new people that will help empower the vision of the SRL, which is the company registered in Italy, and so to hire people and more overall to keep building on top of Cardano, which is of course part of the goal. Otherwise, so yeah, this is roughly what is the business model. If you, of course, believe there are things that can be improved, open to suggestion.
No, I mean, that makes sense. I was trying to figure out, if you were attempting to do like bespoke development work, but that makes a lot of sense, and it's a pretty self,
well, Yeah, well, it is possible that for some of the application, especially if the application needs to be decentralized, there will be something like an ISPO model. Also, the ISPO model will be as decentralized as possible, meaning that, as an example, one of the restriction, the problems, if we see it from the decentralization point of view of ISPOs, is that rewards are calculated using a server. And posing the question of before, say a government says, okay, look, you cannot set up the server that counts how many rewards should be assigned to that people, to that person, then the ISPO stops working because there is no server. So most of the models of ISPOs currently present are in some form centralized, and if even the launch of application built using PluTS will be able to be properly decentralized through the use, as an example, ISPOs are made often by calculating the rewards of delegated data, but we can control delegated data through a smart contract. We have stake validators for that. So it is very well possible an ISPO model that leverages stake validators, and most importantly, using PluTS, every stake pool operator will be able to create its own stake validator to attach to its pool. So that is as accessible as possible, is not closed to some selected pools, but rather any pools already existing can go on the website or what will be the application, kind of download its own personalized smart contract for the pool, and then attach it to the pool so that the stake of the pool is able to generate automatically whatever is the token of the ISPO. So this is an example, one of the decentralized alternative, properly decentralized, because setting up a stake validator now is done entirely client-side, and the stake validator, of course, runs on the node that are multiple servers that are decentralized. This way, there is no central entity. So if for any reason then the government comes to me and says, hey, look, you cannot set up this smart contract, well, I say, okay, but I mean, the code is here, is there. Anyone can go there, download it, and set up this ISPO model for itself. And so, okay, I'm out, but the protocol still works. And this is one of the many possibilities that are coming. And by are coming, I mean either anyone wants to leverage PTS or I'll do it myself. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think you're not alone in sort of your mission. And I think it's going to become much more apparent just how important that is as time goes on, like you said.
Yeah, of course.
One hundo, as Cook Time would say. Thank you for that. Anybody else got a question? Before I get into the boring stuff.
As an example, I know later that it will come Gucci or Gucci. I have no idea. I'm sorry how it is pronounced. And their major feature, at least to my understanding, is the possibility to create short position over NFTs. This is great. However, you perhaps will also be able to add more features to your NFTs. If, as an example, the NFTs allows to create personalized smart contracts for that NFT, so that, as an example, let's say you have an NFT that identifies you in the metaverse, and you do not want to directly use your wallet in the metaverse for various reasons. You can then add a functionality personalized for the NFT, or better, for the user, that has been generated without any server.
Let's go into that, but at a higher level, Michele, and start from the beginning. Harmonic Labs. I keep wanting to say harmonica. There was a really good harmonica last night at the dance. Maybe that's why. Harmonic Labs, right? Who's your customer? Developers or businesses?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
So let's hear the elevator pitch to a business for Harmonic Labs.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't
So
understand.
pitch. So just pretend I'm a potential customer. What is, in 2 sentences? What is your services, and why should I come to you as opposed to M Labs or something else? What's your
Sure.
differentiator?
The main difference is that the final result is runs on the web page. So the web page is, you can see it as a program that is running only on the computer of the user that is using the web page. So the why you should want to come to Harmonic Laboratories is...
Wait, before we get to the why, I don't know if I understood the service. Do you want to?
Yeah.
So pretend I'm a business, so I'm starting an NFT project, and I'm looking for some smart contract work. Like, what is the offering?
The offering is is a product that is customizable, highly customizable. Not even for the project itself, but it allows lots of possibilities that are not possible using Haskell way, using the Haskell way, or at least not in the same exact way, because to my knowledge, there is no direct way to run Haskell in the browser. You can use GA.
Super customizable way of building smart contracts that works in the browser.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then what is the differentiator? Why Harmonic Labs?
By why Harmonic Labs? What do you mean exactly?
Like,
Why?
why should I pick you versus TCT?
Oh, well, I didn't know TCT was.
Or Epoch Pool. Epoch Pool does some tech consulting. Or M Labs or somebody else, right? Why you? Why should I come to your services?
If you plan to use yes, who better than who created it? Uh, as for the same reason, if you plan to use Plutarch, why better than MLabs, right? Because
Okay.
of course more comfortable. It depends on what is your final intent of the project.
Okay. So if you're um yeah okay, I'll pause that because I see Mona has his hand up. Go ahead, Alexander.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm not really well versed on Plu TS, but the main appeal I think in layman's terms is that you can develop a backendless DApp that essentially if I put out a GitHub repo for how to run, execute this like locally hosted thing, someone could run the quote DApp on themselves without a backend, without all this other kind of infrastructure, building the appropriate transactions and signing them. So it's quite exciting in terms of, we call a lot of things DApps on Cardano, but there's usually some kind of batcher involved, some kind of Postgres database that is storing a lot of stuff off chain, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, that this is kind of a remedy to that. And like most open source kind of software companies, they develop some unique product or service or offering, and then they sell support to it. Is that correct?
Exactly, very much correct.
What's up, Epoch? Thanks on that.
I'm just curious, like, how big is the TypeScript community, you think, compared to Haskell?
Well, I can pull some numbers right now, but it's way
I'm gonna
bigger.
pull one out of my ass and say 500 to 1.
What?
Maybe 5,000 to 1.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger, especially
Yeah,
because
I'm just trying to get an idea for, like, as I'm really focused right now on like growing the developer accessibility of the chain, and the more languages that we're obviously working with and providing, a bridge over to Plutus, is pretty important. So I was just trying to figure out the size of that pod of TypeScript engineers. But yeah, that's kind of why I was asking.
if you think that every web page, except for the one built with WordPress, the vast majority of other web pages are running using JavaScript, and TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that compiles down to, of course, JavaScript. So if when you use a web page, is very likely that web page is running thanks to to TypeScript.
I think it's about 98% or something like that.
28% of web pages are running using JavaScript. Yeah. So
even the WordPress one too, Michele, just throwing that out there. WordPress likes JavaScript.
I was gonna say, like, does this exclude Java, or does this exclude the WordPress sites? Because doesn't like 60% of the internet run on WordPress or some stupid number?
I believe it does exclude WordPress, but still it is impressive.
Yeah,
for sure. I think it's exciting.
If you compare it to Haskell, I mean, one of the main critics that have been done to Cardano is that Haskell is a very niche language, and that is objectively true. Even if I believe Haskell is a great language, it has lots of great features. However, we also have and need to account for the accessibility of the language, and with that not without sacrificing the security of the language. But this is something really hard to do, given the pure nature of UPLC, which are what smart contracts are in a way or in another needs to be. So
What is that? UPNC? What acronym is
Okay,
that?
okay. Sorry, you two. We've been nerdy all day. Let's keep this high level and talk to the non-nerdy the non-nerdy people in the crowd, especially the people who will actually come to use the service. Like someone making an NFT, they're not gonna know what a UPSC is or care too much. Right.
sure, that is the
Um,
point.
so this before our time is just about out here, but I want you to answer a couple more questions, put you back on the spot about your services that you're offering to the community. And then just to recap that, if you are building a project that needs smart contract functionality, Harmonic Labs can help you with that using web technology. So the stuff that you're probably already using in your other parts of your website or your project. So JavaScript, TypeScript, those kinds of things. Question for you, Michele, what's your background and what's your core competency? What did you do professionally before this?
So I have an intrigued story. I will not start by I was 2 years old and all that stuff, but essentially after the COVID, I started personally. I started studying a lot, and eventually I was accepted at the University of the Politecnico di Milano. So I was studying for computer science engineering. However, I dropped out. Too many that may sound like bad news. I dropped out by choice. I was probably one of the best New Year students. I also received myself a prize for that. However, I dropped out because university are too much, from my point of view, academical. Uh, they do not prepare for the real world, and so for this reason, I dropped out and I started coding a lot myself, setting up server, blowing up computers, all that stuff. But I did it with joy. It was something that made me feel real, and I would say I learned way more by blowing up computers rather than reading how to blow up computers. So this is basically, very basically, my background, and as I already said, I'm quite young as a person, relatively speaking. So the time I had to do other experience was not much, but what I have done is mostly open source, so you can go check yourself and then form an opinion by looking at what is there rather than an opinion someone else gave me under the form of a vote.
Great. I think that answers the question, and that brings us to time. So why don't you give the call to action, the direction, if people want to reach out to you,
Yeah.
where can they reach out, stuff like that.
So to reach out, you can just go on the website and scroll down. There is a tiny little form to share your idea, and so that we can start discussing way to make it real. The call to action, it is just whatever things you are building. Please be sure that it's decentralized. Not only because it's cool, the word decentralized, but for the security point of view, and too, because that is what will be your main point of what should be at least your main point of the application, because everything we are seeing here, you may even be here only for the price, the number go up, but actually the number are driven by the innovation, and the real innovation here is the decentralization. So whatever you are doing, make sure you are doing it in a decentralized way.
You heard it here first, people. Do it in a decentralized way. I think IOG likes to call it distributed accountability or something like that. Anywho, thanks for coming.
So you said you're going to be at the summit. What are you going to do at the summit, Michele? Are you going to present something, or what are you doing there?
Well, I was nominated to speak, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough votes. However, I'll be there, and I'm sure I'll meet lots of people. I'll be at the Lausanne one, but of course, I'm sure.
Lausanne. That should be fun. Thanks again for coming. Always friend of the show. I don't know if you're gonna stick around for banter later. But without further ado, before we get to our next guest, Epoch, are you able to do the mid roll?
Sure. Give me 2 seconds.
It's awesome having you, Michele. Thanks for coming, like always.
My pleasure. So it's always fun to hear these spaces. I'll join with the other accounts now.
Oh, wow. Oh, this should be interesting. I wonder if he's gonna sound different and be different on the other account than he is on his professional.
Ooh, is he
Harmonic
giving
Labs
us his
account.
alt? Is he gonna tell us what his alt account?
Yeah. Oh, Epoch, you back? Mid roll?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the show, where I get to shamelessly say, "Get your ADA off exchanges," and I can say that with complete confidence that it's good advice. So we definitely don't want to see any Celsius, FTX, Voyager drama, happening to our community members. So we highly recommend you treat an exchange like a public bathroom. Get in, get out, don't fuck about, don't leave your wallet there, don't leave your ID there. Like, get the fuck out of the bathroom. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. And
Well, I don't know. What kind of dealings do you do in the bathroom, Epoch?
Hey, back in the day, pre-COVID, there was a lot of business that got done in the bathroom. And if you were at Rare Bloom, you would have heard Big Pay in the bathroom doing business, which I thought was hilarious. But anyway, that's a rumor for another time. Get your ADA off exchanges and stake with the small pool. We have pools here that are represented. We have Lido pool, we have Epoch pool, Monad pool, Hero pool, and all these other people use other pools. So check us out if you're looking for reliable, stress-free staking. And if not, well, I'm sad. That's it. Have a good day.
Don't make Epoch sad. There is the takeaway for the day. Don't make Epoch sad. Code Tom, you want to reset the space? You do a really good reset. It's 2:30 UTC now. FYI.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you. Yes. This is Cardano Over Coffee with the Wednesday crew. We have Lido Nation as our host, as well as Cooktime and Jenny co-hosting. Of course, we have our other fabulous Cardano Over Coffee members, TCT, Epoch, Hero, in the house right now, hanging out. Please join us every day, Monday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. UTC. I think I got that wrong. But you know what?
Time change. Yeah, I think it's one more hour. 2:30.
Wait. Okay,
9:30. 9:30 EST.
It starts at 2:30 and ends at
4:30. 2 hours.
Okay.
Shit,
got
where
it.
do I need to I need to update that somewhere.
Yeah, same.
Okay, should we just change it to say 9:30 Eastern? 9:30
No.
EST?
But we're universal. We're UTC up in this.
I don't want to keep converting from Eastern to fucking UTC. Like, people have blown up spaceships by miscalculating fucking UTC. It's terrible.
Yeah,
That is so
but
true, though. You're so right on that one.
yeah, but like
Wrap this up, guys.
we might have EST privilege, but you know, we're UTC
But it
universally.
changes. You say it's always 9:30 EST. It doesn't matter what time of, like, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
we'll take it
Yeah.
offline.
Let's take this
We'll
offline,
take it
okay?
to offline. Okay, guys. I love it.
All right. Anyways, so that was my mid-roll. Thank you guys. Follow, like, retweet the space. We have a nice link tree for you as well, full of all of the great things that we've been up to. We have a YouTube channel that's getting kickstarted again. We also have some Cardano Over Coffee branded coffee that you can pay with ADA and get it delivered to your house. Really wonderful options we got going on. We have so much more in store. So please stay tuned, turn on the notifications so you don't miss a space. But other than that, we have Monad Alexander here representing Gucci IO. So we will be transitioning into that conversation.
Welcome,
Great.
Alex.
Welcome. Let the emoji roll and flow and beep bop.
What's up, Lido? I got it. We're here. And I will say, I will shill Lisbon. The only thing I'm okay with shilling. Lisbon is in the UTC time zone. So if you move to Lisbon, you don't have to worry about UTC shenanigans.
Or taxes on your cryptos.
Or taxes this year until the end of the year. And from next year, 2022 to 2023, if you hold the coins for longer a year, it's not legislation yet, but the proposed legislation is hold for a year, pay zero taxes. And I just have to say, as someone who lives off their ADA, I am very happy that I don't have to take aside 20 to 40% every time I sell in this market, because that would make me extremely sad.
I am
Wow, there you go. Move to Lisbon. Well, that's a good intro into who you are and how you got into Cardano for the uninitiated.
Through BitConnect? I'm confused. That has nothing to do with how I got into Cardano.
Well, it's a good segue for you to get into that.
So quickly, that I'll give a very short version. I got into Bitcoin in like 2012. I mined Litecoin, sold to Bitcoin. I got around 20 to 25 Bitcoin, mining with like 12 GPUs. Then I quit crypto because FPGAs and ASICs were coming online, and it was clear to me that it would all centralized. And it did. And so I basically laid low for a long time, looking every couple of years if proof of stake was a thing yet. And I spent a lot of time trying to learn Haskell on the Haskell subreddit. And eventually I started seeing Cardano pop up around, I think I was pretty late actually, 2018 or so is when I started to see Cardano mentioned. And first I was very sad because I wanted to learn Haskell because I thought a purely functional programming language was obviously the best way to build a blockchain. And so I was really sad that someone had already started to do this. But then I started thinking, oh, wait. And I started looking into it. These guys are so much more professional and legit than what I can do. So let's go to the next thing, which is given that this is a thing that's here and coming, what can I do and build on top of it? And that's turned out pretty well. And so that's why that's why Cardano.
Excellent. Well, get into it. What it is you're building? Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I launched my Cardano career with a small stake pool that nobody likes called Monad, which is a kind of in joke to Haskell literate people, which is one of like the big stumbling blocks in learning Haskell. When I heard about NFTs, I think last year or a little bit more than a year ago, my reaction was, why would anyone buy a link to a JPEG? So I released Unsigned Algorithms, which was a color study of all the different ways you can combine red, green, and blue and store this all, the code to generate these things on chain so that, if an NFT is normally thought of as a receipt, my argument is I have a background in architecture, design, building, not like IT architecture. The argument was that this NFT was a blueprint to something else. Because of that, I kind of got swept up into the NFT space, kind of unwillingly or kind of unaware. And I've been really kind of not super happy with how things have developed. That's my main kind of Twitter persona is fudding, or people call it fudding. I don't view it as fudding. Just like trying to cast light on the reality of what it is we're doing. And what I kind of came up with in Gucci was an idea for how to kind of, the way I see it, restore balance to the force, or put two people on each side of the seesaw, where there's a lot of I view one of the problems with the NFT space is there's so much incentive to hype and pump, and there's no kind of opposite pressure towards like reality, that's caused all these perverse incentives to kind of come about with scams and pump and dump and low effort shit. And so Gucci is an attempt to kind of allow both people in a marketplace, positive and negative people, to play and to express their opinion and to profit from taking a position. So Gucci is a way to short NFTs in a way, and also a way to extract yield from your dormant NFT collection that otherwise just sits in your wallet doing nothing for you.
Before Jenny goes, what do you mean by short for people who might not understand that term?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Great.
if we could just like kind of get into the shorting and
Yeah,
because how different it is from traditional shorting,
Yeah. So I'll take one step back. When you believe in something, you are essentially saying, I think the market is wrong, right? Like that's fundamentally what most people in this room probably think about ADA. They think ADA is a very valuable asset that is mispriced, so they accumulate it and hold it in their bags. First they buy it, then they hold it, hoping that someday in the future it will, the market will accurately price this thing, and then they can, sell a little bit of it, not all of it, but this kind of thing, to make money. You buy low, you sell high because you believe in something. Shorting is a way to make money on something that you don't believe in, by essentially selling something that you don't own first and then buying it later. And if you think about that, if you sell first and buy later, that means that if in the future, in the later, if the price is lower than it is today, then you've essentially made money. It's the same thing as longing, just the arrow of time is in the opposite direction if you think about it that way.
Yeah, I was just kind of like gonna say, like, basically this is for like pessimistic trading, right? Which is you basically in the traditional markets, right? Like a trader borrows to buy a position, right? And then pays a percentage on that loan.
Yeah, so if we were talking about Tesla stock, right? Tesla's very
correct.
famous.
So in this case,
right?
that's what I was gonna go. Like, does it work the same way, or do you have your own spin to it?
Pretty similar. A little bit different because these are non-fungible tokens we're talking about. Actually, Gucci works for any token on Cardano, including like MinSwap or I don't know, ADAO, whatever the thing is, right? It doesn't matter. That's one of the cool things about Cardano. But if we were to walk through a Tesla example, right? Like if I think Tesla is overhyped right now, what I would do is I'd put maybe $10,000 onto E-Trade or something like that. I would put it in a margin account, and then I would borrow, a bunch of shares of Tesla, and I would sell them, right? Instantly earning, let's say, I have no clue what the price of Tesla is right now. Let's say it's $500. I would sell all these Tesla shares that I had borrowed at $500 a share. And then I now have a loan which says you owe 500 Tesla shares. It doesn't say I owe the amount of money I got from selling those shares. It's a share denominated loan. And that way, if the price of Tesla drops to $250, I can buy those a bunch of shares back, however many I initially borrowed, for $250, right? And then I can repay my Tesla share loan, basically pocketing $250 a share. That's how it works in the normal market. A short is just borrowing and then selling what you borrowed, then rebuying in the future, hopefully at a lower price, and then repaying your loan. That's all a short is. Some exchanges have a more kind of, they have exotic products which are kind of like tokenized representations of a short, but that's what's happening behind the scenes. And what Gucci is a way for you to borrow an NFT, sell it, and then repay your obligation. Of course, because these are most of the time it's a non-fungible token. The loan is a little bit funny. It's not a loan for a specific NFT because that would be very easy for manipulation. Like whoever you sold the NFT to could just hold it and refuse to sell it back to you and force you to be, underwater. So the way the smart contract is written is it says when you borrow this thing, you owe me another one of these things. So if you're familiar with policy IDs on Cardano, these are these kind of cryptographic signatures which kind of say what something is, right? So as a safety precaution, I would recommend only using Gucci with locked policy IDs, right? Like you don't want to borrow something and then or lend something out and then have a bunch of these other things be minted, and that would probably wildly affect the price in the future. So you borrow something, you sell it, you hope you can rebuy it later, essentially because the floor drops, and then you can repay your loan.
So this is really cool because usually shorting, it's only like in traditional markets, right? It's only available for accredited investors, right? Here, anybody can really participate, correct?
I mean, I've shorted on things before, and you have to answer like a 10-question survey. It's like make sure you have a face and know what you're doing, kind of thing. But really. There, you will see on Gucci, there's no short button. You borrow something, you can sell it on Gucci or you can sell it someplace else. You rebuy it and you repay your loan. That's really all it is. But unlike maybe some other lending NFT platforms, normally when you think about NFT loans, you lock your NFT in the smart contract. Let's say you have an expensive space bud, right? You send your expensive space bud to the contract, you get a loan for maybe 10,000 ADA. And then you have to make interest payments and pay back that 10,000 ADA loan, right? If you don't, the guy who gave you the 10,000 ADA can take your space bud. That's how normal NFT lending works. On Gucci, it's a little bit opposite. You can start an offer by putting in the ADA, say, I will pay 10,000 ADA for any space bud. And I will pay you, 2% of 10,000 ADA for a 2-week loan. And then if someone sees that offer and says, yeah, I'll take that, they send their space bud to the smart contract and the smart contract immediately sends it back to the borrower. Now the borrower can go and sell that NFT on JPEG or wherever. Maybe they get, Jenny, help me out. What is the space bud floor at?
Oh my God, I don't know, 5K, something like that?
Okay, 5,000 ADA, right? And then something happens, there's some temporary FUD and the space bud floor drops to 3,000 ADA. They can now buy another one for 3,000 ADA, send it back to the smart contract, get their 10,000 ADA back minus the fees that they paid to the lender of 2% of 10,000 ADA, and they would they'd have sold for 5,000 ADA, and they would have bought for 3,000 ADA, so they would have made 2,000 ADA there. And
what about a short squeeze? How would a short squeeze look like in something like this?
So this is really good. A lot of people think shorting is like a magic button that makes the price go down. And it's really not. I'll just tell everyone flat out, I have never made money shorting. Like every time I short something, I get liquidated because I am an idiot and I have no clue how to trade, right? Maybe if people are familiar with what what do you call it? Like a fake out bull rally is during a bear movement, you think the price of something's going down. Every now and then there's a little like mini pump back up. And that's essentially trying to like liquidate people who are late shorters, usually to force them to have to rebuy and get screwed. But the idea is that on Gucci, one thing that is kind of, I think, clever about the design, when we were coming up with this back in February, there was no oracles on Cardano. And so the way Gucci is designed is oracle-less. And that makes it actually pretty hard to do a short squeeze on Gucci because I'll give an example, right? Like if I borrow NFT that is 1,000 ADA floor, and I put in 1,500 ADA collateral, I have an incentive to come back to that contract as long as the floor is below 1,500 ADA, right? Because even if the floor goes up to 1,300 ADA, I have an incentive to go buy a 1,300 ADA NFT, send it back to the smart contract, and get my 1,500 ADA back. So I don't lose all of my collateral. I just lose most of my collateral, right? I can limit my losses there. But if you want to do a short squeeze, you would have to manipulate the price of the floor for the entirety of the contract. You know, for if most of these contracts are 2 weeks or a month or 3 months, however long they are, you can't just make the price go beyond the collateral, because the way this is designed, the borrower has until the end of the contract to come back to it, right? So if you have a 2 week long contract, if I short something that was 1,000 ADA, and then you somehow manipulate the price up to 2,000 ADA, you have to keep the price there for the entire 2 weeks. If even for a moment.
You can't just close at any time. You have to actually complete the contract. That's what you mean.
Well, no, I can complete it at any time as the borrower, but you essentially, if you're trying to manipulate the market and make the borrower get squoze, as you were saying, you have to continuously squeeze them. You can't like on a normal exchange, to be crude, you can just squeeze someone's nuts and force them to be, liquidated in an instant, right? Like the price will go up, they'll get margin called, and then they'll have to cover their position and be out. My point is, in the way Gucci's designed, you can't just squeeze their nuts. You have to squeeze and hold their nuts for the entire 2 weeks as the whale manipulating the market, and that's a lot harder to do, actually, right? Like it's kind of easy to make an illiquid market pump momentarily, but just look at almost any NFT project. It's very hard to have sustained price manipulation in the medium to long term. Does that make sense?
Yep, no, it makes sense to me. And for those who don't know what a short squeeze is, it just basically happens when there's enough increased demand for that, I guess this NFT will be the case. And then there has a lot of sellers, making short sales. So yeah, so this is interesting, Alex.
Because the shorters, it's actually quite good for the market. Every time you short something, you have potentially two sales that are going to happen. First, they have to sell the NFT, right, or the asset in question, and then this is where the squeeze part comes in. They have to rebuy an NFT to close their position, right? Like if you're bullish on something, you just buy it and you hodl it forever, right? But when I talk about, you've seen some of these tweets that I've pinned up, liquidity is coming. Shorting means that there's basically a way for there to be a lot more transactional liquidity, because right now the only people who are participating in the market are bullish on the market, right? In the future, when Gucci is live shortly, in the near future, there will be people who don't believe in the project buying and selling these NFTs, right? And so I would argue the size of the market, like of people who are pessimistic on NFTs, is probably a lot larger than the size of people who are bullish on NFTs, rightly or wrongly. And so what we're doing is increasing the participants in the market. I would hope by like a multiple. Does that make sense?
It does to me. I wonder if anybody has any questions.
Yep,
I know
coming
that.
up if you've got any questions.
I thought you were like really interested about this, Lighter. You have any questions yourself about the shorting of NFTs?
I mean, is this all functional? Like, can I use this? Can I go to Gucci.io right now and do everything?
Yeah. So it's live on pre-prod, and we are doing a little bit of. Neither of us are front-end developers. My co-founder or I, and we basically rebuilt this front end in the past 2 or 3 weeks. Just because we needed something that we could work with. I think last time I talked about this, Cook Time gave us a little bit of a ribbing for the design state of Gucci.io back when we launched with this kind of black and white or black and gold faux leather pattern. I'm hoping it's a little bit better now. And what we're doing right now, it's live on pre-prod. We'll be doing a little bit more testing there. We will do a closed beta for about a week on mainnet, and then we'll go live. So this should be up probably in the next week or two, live on mainnet.
Awesome, thanks. And what is there KYC involved?
No, this is totally, as far as we're concerned, you are interacting with smart contracts on the blockchain. And if it's really kind of asinine to be against Gucci, because to be against Gucci means like you're against your neighbor being able to lend their personal property out, right? That's all that's happening here. People are lending and borrowing.
I connect my wallet then, and then use your tools like I would a MinSwap or anything else.
Yeah, exactly, right. And we take a small fee because we're facilitating the building of this transaction. But the validators will be open sourced before we launch. You'll be able to see them. You'll be able to, other people in the community will be able to look at it. And this is what we're doing is just, I say Gucci is a two-sided marketplace, like a Airbnb or Uber. Right, like you have hosts and you have guests on Airbnb, you have drivers and you have passengers on Uber. Like we're just matchmaking people and allowing them to be like a Craigslist type listing what we're trying to do is in a decentralized manner.
And what's the fee?
We have two revenue models. We will be staking the funds that are locked in the smart contract. We hope that is the primary way we are able to generate revenue in the future. Initially, the fee there's a 2% fee, and depending on how people use it, right, like the kind of volume and liquidity, we will basically be trying to shift to one or the other fee. But our thinking is that it's a rather novel product and service that is being offered. And it's always easier to remove fees than to add them in. So the idea there is, to reduce those going forward in the future.
That makes sense. I actually really appreciate that answer. There's so many projects that come up here and do pitches, and I always want to ask, like, what's the business model? How do you make money? And I have to hold back from asking, and you just kind of offered it in exactly a way that gives you some flexibility, and it shows that you're thinking long term about your business. So appreciate you being prepared for that. And
thank you.
It's cool.
Well, I'm totally unprepared, but yeah, I know the answer to that question. So thank you, Ivan.
Holy macaroni! What's up?
Well, hello, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Monad, I have two questions for you. The private beta, is there any potential for anybody to get involved in that process, or are you just reaching out to individuals on your own? Also, I think you mentioned the validator nodes are open source. So I think you said that. I'm just trying to clarify. So when you launch Gucci, will I be able to go grab the software and run my own validator node, for instance?
So the validator scripts will be open source. Those are the actual kind of on-chain code that, say what is the logic that has to be satisfied. Because if you're interacting with a smart contract on Cardano and you don't know what it is, it's just best practice, I think, that these kind of things are open source. Gucci's backend and front end are not open sourced. In full disclosure, my partner and I we're both eager open source people. What we'd like to do is for everything to be open sourced eventually, but we're kind of aware of this whole Uniswap, Sushi Swap type thing that happens. And so the idea that we kind of, where just for people who aren't familiar, you put a lot of time and effort and energy into building something, you release it, someone basically forks your code base and does the same thing with slightly less fees, right? And that's just not really sustainable for us. We spent 6 months building this. We don't really have a better answer for it. And the answer that we kind of have come up with is what Uniswap seems to do is the last version will be open sourced, and this version, the bleeding edge, will be closed temporarily, right? And the idea there is that we can always maintain some kind of competitive advantage for the feature set that we've developed. Of course, this has a drawback that when we only have one version, we have nothing to open source. But that them's the breaks. like I said, we've been working hard on this. My co-founder has not released an NFT collection and become independently wealthy, so he needs to try to make some money back for his time that he's put into this. Your first question was about the beta. We have a Discord that's on the Gucci.io Twitter profile. If you're in there, I'm sure there doesn't seem to be a stampede of people who are interested in trying it out. So if you join that and say you're interested, we will be happy to hook you up.
Cool. Thanks a lot for your answers. That's good stuff. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool. I might join that myself.
And I think that makes a lot of sense as well. For those of you with the buzzword bingo card, that's a vampire tech. Vampire tech is the bingo word.
Oh, for forking someone else and like draining their liquidity and everything like that?
Yeah, exactly. Copy their front end, their back end, their open source stuff, and then just relaunch, like you said, with lower fees. And you see a lot of clones like that. And,
yeah, I mean, part of the thing I think I think one thing you asked Michelle and Harmonic that I thought was interesting was like, what is your value proposition? What are you doing here? And so like, I'm not the most hardcore Haskell person. I just told everyone like I got into Cardano because I love and wanted to like learn Haskell. But I think what we kind of are offering is, I think we're technical enough, and I'd say we offer some kind of like I don't know if it's entrepreneurial or it comes from my design background in architecture, but it's like able to look at the ecosystem and the market and the tech and to figure out some kind of solution that marries all three of these things together that offers value to people. And I will just say, I've been working on my next NFT art project. I really did feel that it was kind of meaningless to release that in the current market because the current ecosystem is just so flawed and so kind of screwed up that I felt as an architect, one thing we often say is that product design is anything between like anything less than maybe 2 to 5 square meters. Architecture is at the scale of the room and above, and then like urban planning or urban design is like at the scale of the city block and larger. And I really did feel that like releasing an NFT project or an art project on Cardano at this point would be like pissing in the wind. Like it's just such a weird space to be in that I felt like there needed to be some kind of like warden or gardening to kind of clean up the space a bit. And then hopefully, the main contribution I hope that Gucci makes is it makes it harder and more difficult to launch scams on Cardano because people will realize like it's much harder to make something pump on Cardano because if you know that someone can make money on the price of something falling, it will kind of act as a natural pendulum to kind of act as a counterweight to this kind of insane parabolic rallies because, what goes up must come down. And especially when people can make money on something going down, you can kind of count on that happening. And so when you zoom out a little bit, I hope that Cardano has like a much healthier ecosystem of projects and NFTs launching on it. And I think that will actually be a competitive advantage that Cardano NFTs will have against other chains. Because if we have like a higher hit rate of genuine creators who are interested in working on their thing and not just these pump and dumpers, like that in and of itself will be like a positive feedback loop of, virtuous creation.
Sweet. Yes, Cook Time. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Hello. Do you plan on releasing any tutorials or guides on how to use Gucci.io? I'm on the website and yeah, I think it might be helpful for like new users that may not be used to trading and things like that.
Definitely. So I've released 1 or 2 tweet threads this morning in response to Tyler with spaces. And then I redid the same tweet thread for the old money people with screenshots. And I will be recording some video tutorials to basically say there's 2 kinds of people that will use Gucci. There's bullish people and bearish people. And I will basically adopt a persona for each of those and show how you would use Gucci. Video captures, screen recordings, walking you through the various things you would do, how you could use it to kind of build a long position above and beyond just buying and holding an NFT, and the inverse, because I know, yeah, for a lot of people it is new. I think we just pushed an update this morning where if you mouse over a lot of stuff on the policy ID page, like if you click on one of the projects and go to its page, a lot of the buttons and the tables should have some kind of explanation of what these things are now. So that maybe helps. But there's a lot of copy that needs to be written, a lot of FAQ, a lot of UX things, because it's a very complicated product. That's not a cop out saying that, like, how do you say? It's on us to make this easier to use. Right now, it's just an MVP. And it's a lot of work that went into it, but it's none of our feelings are being hurt when people tell us, I don't fucking understand this. It's too complicated. We are saying, yes, we know, we hear you. And hopefully, if we can get some traction, if we get some users and volume on the platform, we do have a lot of ideas for how to improve this, how to make it better and easier to use. But that's how startups work, right? We're trying to find that product market fit and trying to build something. This is literally the MVP, the minimum viable product. And my co-founder is very, I don't know where he heard it. This is probably a cliche. Like, if you're not embarrassed of what you release at launch, you probably released too late. Right? Like in software, you just don't do that. So that's where we're at. We're very confident in the smart contracts. The front end is where things are, being put together. It's funny. The smart contracts were done like 3 to 4 months ago, and we've been like floundering on how to design the UX and other stuff for it, which is kind of ass backwards from what everybody does on Cardano.
Are you gonna have like stats showing?
We're already talking to N Mellon, who's the guy behind CNFT Jungle. So they are integrating the Gucci stats into their site. We do have this, I think it's the second tweet or third tweet that I've pinned at the top. This liquidity is coming. This kind of stat is like, I think, one of the most valuable things for bulls on Gucci is forget about shorting, forget about lending. It's just the floor, this idea of the floor that everyone talks about, right? What this HODL chart is supposed to be showing is the different price levels and the number of orders at each price level for people who have already put ADA into a smart contract, who are willing to pay or have prepaid essentially that amount of ADA for one of any NFT from this collection, from this policy ID. And
that's great, because we have a lot of people like posting up prices that will never sell. So that's like, you have so many fake floors.
I mean, I assume everyone here has, well, we should just ban the word floor or redefine the word floor. Because if you use, if you bought and sold ADA on an exchange, I don't know, do you use market orders or limit orders? Do those mean anything to you? I usually use market because I'm dumb. And I just, I want to buy now. Give me all my stuff now. But if you've ever set a limit order, like I will sell ADA at 50 cents. That's what an NFT listing is, right? You're saying I will sell this NFT at this price, and that's usually above the current price. Like those are resistance, and that's why I keep saying that is a ceiling. That is not a floor. This thing that we're offering is a floor, right? This is the actual goddamn floor, which this is why it's such a big deal, I think. I think for most collections, if somebody sees among, if there's 10,000 NFTs in a collection and 1,000 holders, for most collections, if someone sees, oh shit, I can sell this JPEG for 300 ADA, I think that offer will get eaten up almost instantly, right? Like it's an offering of liquidity. It's like, these buy it now buttons on Amazon. It's like, sell it now. You don't have to worry about making a listing, hoping it sells, checking the JPEG store a week from now. Oh, did my NFT sell? No, like you just go to Gucci, you go to the policy ID, and you see what's the price that someone is willing to pay for any of these. You pick like your least favorite NFT from that collection, you sell it instantly, and you're done, right? I think actually good projects or projects that are have a lot of support in the community, they will be able to maintain this buy wall underneath the floor, right? Like give a spacebud example. Like there will be like a AWOP, DBWOP, or whatever that guy's name is. Like he'll have, like 2,000 ADA offers for spacebuds at all times. And if you are a spacebud holder and you need to tap into some liquidity, you will be able to basically exit your position, and you won't have this like glut of JPEGs in your wallet that on paper are worth a lot, but you can't actually move because there's no liquidity, right? This is really what Gucci is really offering, is this ability to enter and exit your NFT positions so much easier, which is why it's called Gucci. Gucci is used in Japanese in Iriguchi and Deguchi, which are entrance and exit respectively. It's about, entering and exiting positions in the NFT space.
I really thought it was about being fly. Can you just confirm, sorry, real quick, I keep hearing picking an NFT, and then I think you said something about policy ID earlier. The thing you're listing, did you say is specifically on the policy ID and not the asset ID?
Correct. So, like the policy ID is like a surname. The asset is like a first name, right?
Right, exactly.
When you're lending on Gucci, this is something people need to be aware of, and I apologize for the ambiguity. You're not really lending that NFT. This is very important, and it's on the fact, but we will have some disclaimers and other stuff. You are giving away one of your NFTs from that policy ID, and you are guaranteeing one of two things will happen. You will either get back another NFT from that collection with the same policy ID, with the same surname, or you will get the collateral that was locked in the smart contract if the borrower doesn't, repay their obligation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the thing people need to be aware of when they're doing that calculus is stuff like rarities and things like that nature.
Yeah, what we say is it's the floor contract. You shouldn't send in like your Dino Spacebud, right? You should send in like your aliens, your whatever the lower tier things are essentially.
Your ADA nuggets. Put all the ADA nuggets there.
Go ahead, Epac. I'll keep going.
That's all. So for an NFT projects that obviously want to, ape into whatever the fuck you're doing, is there like a registration process or a verification process?
We're fucking crypto people, bro. Like there is no whitelist. There is no anyone can use Gucci to express any intent. People often try to troll me and say like, can I short unsigs on it? Like, go the fuck ahead. Please do. Like, I don't care what you're doing on this thing. Blockchains are about economic freedom and allowing people to do what they want. So that would be totally counter to my personal beliefs. And my co-founder has a little bit of an anarchist streak too.
And there's no need for verification, right?
Okay, hold on one second. Before we double click on the verification stuff, can someone soundbite that? What fucking crypto people? I feel like that needs to be just ready to play.
I feel targeted.
I mean, I am here, I will say, from my friend who I met recently in Portugal, DZ Codes. We are here for the downfall of traditional systems. I honestly do not believe the current system works. I am actively interested in tearing it down, or not even tearing it down, building up something better that makes the existing system so irrelevant as to be obsolete. And that is why I'm involved in crypto. That's why I'm in this space. Did I get rich as a side effect? Yes, but I think that is, honestly think that's because I had some sort of values and ideas that I believed in, and that was like really a side effect of it. People get really confused.
Okay, Mona, let's just double down on that cute comment you just made. Did I get rich as a side effect? You don't have to answer if you don't want. Where do you keep all those riches? In crypto or in fiat?
I'm really stupid. I keep it all in ADA. I withdraw a couple months of expenses in euros in advance. I probably should have taken. I didn't take any profits until I think around like $1.10 or something like that. I bought into ADA around 7 to 12 cents, so I was still okay. I'm still okay, but I'm much sadder. But yeah, I used to have a 7-figure net worth. I don't anymore. Thank you, Ada. But it's okay. I think with the skill set that I have and the kind of ideas that are being worked on, I'm pretty confident that this is a temporary thing, and I'm
This
totally
is
fine.
exactly when you will play that soundbite. What fucking crypto people? So carry on.
Yeah, and I'm not even a crypto person. I have like 99.9% of my net worth not in crypto, but in ADA. So I'm a total idiot.
Oh man, that is wild.
An idiot would be if you had it in Hosky, technically, right?
I think I'm a Hosky millionaire. I think somebody tipped me one time, but
Fish.
So the verification, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to be verified to participate in there, right?
you
Like
need a Cardano
anything.
wallet, and that's it. Like we're not about gatekeeping. We're not about what one thing we've thought about doing is having like a weekly or bi-weekly like bulls versus bears editorial where one person who's bullish on a specific project and one person who's bearish can like present their case and kind of clash. But we're not here to like I don't know, target or clothesline specific projects. I have said personally I'm not going to use Gucci to short anything because like it's really I don't know. It's like a newspaper guy who, you want to maintain some editorial distance or have people who the writers in the newsroom to have freedom to write without being influenced by the owner. So like Gucci for me, as much as I would like to use it, I do feel more of a, how do you say, custodial role, and I really want to use it. I really want to use it, but it's not. That's not what it's about. It's not about me. It's about providing this opportunity or ability to the wider Cardano community.
Alex, a quick question. Is there anything that like legal wise that you will recommend people checking? Is this like something that we should be making sure that we're
Yeah,
we're
you should check.
cool doing this in our jurisdictions,
Look, you should check if the jurisdiction you're in allows you to borrow or lend other people's personal property, because that is what is happening on Gucci. So if you're allowed to like lend the exam, here's a really bad example. I did this with Dr. A the other day. Like if you have a lawnmower and it's a El Toro lawnmower, right? If you lent that to your neighbor under the agreement that you don't have to give me back this lawnmower, you have to give me back a El Toro lawnmower. And he went out and he sold your El Toro lawnmower after he mowed the lawn. He's like, you know what? I think I can get one of these cheaper. And then he went around and he found one, he bought one, and he paid you back that. That's all that's really happening on Gucci. Somebody is agreeing under like the specific repayment terms for a loan of personal property. And if your government doesn't allow you to do that, I'm sorry for you and I'm sorry for your government because I don't think you're living in a very nice place.
which I think the US
I
falls
think
there.
I think he's throwing shit at Louisiana. So just
I'm,
move to Florida and you're good.
I'm pretty sure you can lend property anywhere in the US. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
I don't think the US has breached
Well, it's
that.
just kind of funny what you said because there's this guy, Frigid Optics. He created the first music NFT in Cardano, and he's always been struggling with money. And apparently, recently, he I don't know exactly what he did. He I don't know if he rented. Oh, he rented some equipment, and then he needed money, and then I think he sold it, and he needs to pay it back. And he was saying that it was against the law, and he didn't realize it, and he had to like fix all this before he went to jail. So that's what I was meaning. Like,
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you rent, well, that's a good point. If this was real life and I was that guy and I had borrowed this, the one caveat is to borrow that audio equipment, he would have paid 150 or some percent of the value of that property. And if he didn't bring that property back, then the rental place is allowed to take his money, right? That's how you're protected on Gucci, is, this idea that I'm lending out my NFT. There's a bunch of ADA locked in a smart contract that, at least at the time of the lend, should be higher than the price of the NFT. That's what is ensuring correct behavior, not trust, not, I hope you're a good person and you'll come back. But they literally have more skin in the game than the asset is worth. And so that's how we've designed this in an oracle-less manner. And essentially, you are the oracle on Gucci. You come to the platform with your knowledge of prices of the external world outside of, the blockchain, and you look at things, you set your collateral, or you enter into agreements with other people based on this kind of stuff. But if you're the borrower and you don't come back, you lose the ADA that you put in the beginning. So that I don't think that's illegal, right? You've essentially bought that NFT for the price of your collateral.
Riley,
So I actually,
something triggered you.
yeah, well, and I like Gucci. I talked to Alex before he kind of made it a public announcement, and I think that Alex has a great mind, and he's able to reason about the ledger better than most people who don't actually write Plutus. And so I do think that he's going to end up doing well regardless of who he's working with. But what I kind of wanted to come up here and say is I almost don't think that it's appropriate to call this a loan, because of the fact that you're not actually expected, right, to return the actual object that was provided by the quote unquote lender, right?
Correct.
And so
yeah.
like I understand exactly.
oh yeah, you have the collateral.
Right.
That's
And
true,
so
right?
I think that when it comes to this conversation about legalities, it's an interesting one, and I think that technically this could be classified under some sort of lending contract from a legal perspective, and obviously do your own research into your own jurisdiction before doing anything in DeFi, right? But I think that I'm unsure of how to classify this, but I think you could make an argument, kind of depending on your jurisdiction, to say that you're good either way, because if it's lending, then you're good in most jurisdictions, and if it's not lending, then you could probably still go and sell off this property because you're not expected to return that property. It's not really a loan, right? So I'm just trying to kind of reason about that part of things.
I'd say, like, if you go to your neighbor and you ask to borrow a cup of sugar, right? Is there any expectation that you return the granulated, fructose, whatever that was put in the cup? Like, no, right? Like, this is essentially a fungible asset. And the expectation is that gift reciprocity takes over. And at some point in the future, when your neighbor is baking and needs a cup of sugar, they can come over to you, or eggs or whatever, right? And they will pay back in kind. So the reason,
and it's already agreed upon too.
Yeah,
Like,
but
it's
those
both
are
the
also,
parties are agreeing upon this. You
They're-
can't enter this contract without understanding that, right?
Yeah, well, we need to do a good job of it. And Riley is totally correct, is that
eggs are fungible.
eggs are fungible. And what we're saying is, if you're using Gucci, we need to make sure that you understand we do not want anyone to mistakenly be surprised when they don't get back the NFT that they put in. Like, it is going to be extremely rare that you get back the NFT that you put in. It's possible, because a smart contract will be satisfied if I borrow an NFT and then I send it back. That will fulfill the requirements that, like, you sent back another NFT of this policy ID. And I'll briefly walk through that. In the, like, kind of worst case scenario from a borrower perspective, if they borrow an NFT and they're not able to sell it to open their short, you just send it back, right? And they will be able to claim their collateral. They have an asset which fulfills the conditions of repayment to get their collateral back. But that's why we developed this HODL feature with this collection offer feature. Like most of the time, if you want to short, you should be checking what price you can sell any NFT from that collection for, so that you can borrow and then instantly sell. Looking at the right-hand side of the page and then going to the left-hand side of the page and selling it. But I do believe under most jurisdictions, of course, check your own jurisdiction, that when you lend something out, you agree to a repayment schedule or repayment terms. And so in this case, what we're just saying is like, I will lend you one of these and give me back one of these. We're not saying I will lend you this and give me back this. It's just a more generic kind of classification over what will satisfy repayment.
And that's why it's policy ID based. So
exactly, and policy IDs are front and center. If we can, Gucci will not work so well for something like Cardano Kids. For those who aren't familiar, like Cardano Kids was like a seasonal release or something early on in the Cardano NFT space. Every season was, I think, released under a different policy ID. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a huge Cardano Kids person. But basically,
like they're all under the same policy ID, you mean?
Yeah,
I think
are they
so.
or
You're
aren't they?
right. I think you're right. I
think they're all under different ones, right? Like because they were like a couple months apart, they released another one. So there's no way to really short Cardano Kids on Gucci. You can short Cardano Kids Season 7, the policy ID of that thing. So if something is split up under multiple policy IDs, like what's another example? I think probably Boss Cat Rocket Club has like, Metaverse Project and Cabins and like anything that's under a unique policy ID, like that is the family of goods which can be used to repay the loan. So policy IDs feature very prominently on Gucci. Like we will probably add in what the name of that policy ID is at some point just for the end user convenience, but policy ID is the basic primitive, the basic unit that you need to be aware of when you're dealing on Gucci. So you can't like short a Season 7 Cardano Kids and then repay it with the Season 6 Cardano Kids, even though that's the same quote project, because those, as far as Cardano is concerned, those are completely different units of currency.
And again, for those who weren't here earlier, like Alex was saying that he recommends you not shorting anything that has an open policy ID as well.
Well, yeah, actually, if we want to be specific, shorting an open policy ID is probably a good idea. And you're actually hoping that someone issues a bunch of worthless tokens under that, because then you can repay it. What you don't want to do is lend out your open policy ID, most likely.
Correct, you're right, yes.
Because then you might, like, let's say you release a bunch of swag that has like 1 ADA, price. Like you could get one of those tokens back as payment for your loan, and you would be very unhappy.
We could make ADAO unshortable because we could take ADAO and we could, there's a token and it resides in a contract that requires vote. And so we could basically take that token and use it to mint new tokens under the same policy as the ADAO governance tokens, but with a different name, and make it so there's like trillions of them and just give them out like Hosky does. And then it'd be really hard to short ADAO. But anyway,
this is only for NFTs, right? Are you going to do also fungible tokens?
It works for fungible tokens, but I would assume that with the design, it's sort of still assuming the same logic, and so it just goes based on policy ID, even though it's a fungible token. Yeah.
We're basically, like underscore for asset name. Like we don't care. We're just throwing it away and not looking at the asset name. And this is a case where I can happily say less is more, at least for this functionality.
Dad, well, let's hear it, Blackjack. Bring the fluffy.
Really no fluffy there. So I'm just curious for Monad, traction-wise, what kind of traction are you getting with this particular idea? Because for a lot of people, shorting things, doing puts and calls, things, all that stuff is well beyond the realm of a lot of, just regular people getting into the market. A lot of them just like to, set it, forget it. So I'm curious as to what kind of traction you're getting amongst the Cardano Twitter Spaces, obviously, in your AMAs and the project itself. And also, I don't know if it's launched yet or not, so I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, we're live on pre-prod only. So I was surprised, actually. I think most people who launch on pre-prod and don't have some kind of incentivization to get people to try something out, like you're very unable to get beta testers in on it. We've had quite I'd say it might sound like a very little, between 5 and 10 people actually interacting and using it. And given that we're not paying them to do so or whatever, that seems like we're pretty happy. We were able to find, some weird things in the front end that we fixed or improved upon. And anytime we tweet about it, it seems like people are quite excited, quite eager to get in. I really do believe that the HODL feature is where the most of the interest will be, because this provides, as you were saying, regardless of whether or not you want to short, this provides real utility to everyone in the space to either pick up pieces, granted indiscriminately, you're not able to select which one, but potentially at a discount under the current floor price, or exit your NFT collection just by sending one NFT a day or something like that, without having to go through all the hassle of listing and everything like that. So that is where I think a lot of activity will be on Gucci. We'll see when we open the doors in the next week or two on mainnet. I think this is almost exactly perfectly an example. Like, until people can actually make money with it, there's not really a lot of reason to test it out. And we'll see how things happen. But we've been pretty happy with the feedback, and people are anecdotally saying, I want to Gucci that. We get tagged pretty regularly in various tweets, on people saying like waiting for Gucci in response to someone tweeting about their project, stuff like that. So it's fun.
Well, and that's cool. And I think ultimately this is probably maybe the best time, because DeFi kind of is a little stagnant right now. And NFT, obviously, sector is actually doing quite well, or at least was for a little bit, so it seems like a better time to push that out.
One more thing I'll say is, while we were developing this, the site works for native tokens, regardless of if they're fungible or not. And so one thing that we kind of see potentially happening in like a tail wagging the dog scenario is, most DEXs issue these, monopoly money tokens that just go to zero, right? Like I kind of expect people to start to use Gucci to borrow, I don't know, a DEX token, and then ride the way down, and then, short these, how do you call them, fungible native assets on Cardano, which are, how do you say, very likely to trend to zero, or have been trending to zero.
I know what you're saying. And then ultimately, it also could be a way to express your voice.
This space
for particular
will end in 1 minute.
Thank you, Lido. I appreciate you.
Wait, I just wanted to say, oh shit, what did I want to say? Fuck it, never mind.
Oh, you did want to say something, Riley.
Great clip. I want to hear that clip next time.
If you remember it later, Riley, please DM me. I'm happy to answer or talk.
Thanks for coming, Alex. I appreciate it. This was great.
Remember, I was just going to ask about, you said it's going to be open source with regards to the validator. Is that something where it's already open source? Can I review it before you guys go to production? I'd love to.
We want to have it open source before we switch on to mainnet. I will just be fully honest, like, it's using a very weird specific version of PAB, because the original design of Gucci was using state machines, and PAB was supposed to include state machine support. So my co-founder did all this there, and so there's like a forked, slightly modified version of PAB in this. And so it might not be the most straightforward thing to audit or to look over, but it is really what we're trying to say. We're trying to get that specific validator logic into a purpose-built repo for people to audit and look at. And so that is one thing that is high on our task to do prior to launch, and that will be there. Does that answer your question, Riley?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Want to wrap it up, Mr. Monad? Call to action, directions, instructions, whips, all the things.
Follow the Gucci IO account. I will be releasing some video tutorials soon, or actually, I've been asking Cinnamon Bun is here to release more from a user perspective, because like this is my child and I'm a little bit too close to it and it looks beautiful to me, but it's a bit ugly. And so he's kind of recording some things, and I'm asking him to look at it with fresh eyes and do something. So that will be out. If all of this is confusing, what we're going to try to do is release like a short 2 to 3 minute things from each perspective of like, I want to short something, I want to long something. How do I do these different things on Gucci? So there will be a few short, more digestible, easily consumable video content for you all soon. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming. Cook time, send us away.
Absolutely. Don't forget to join us every day, Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. UTC to 4:30 p.m. UTC. I'm Cook Time, Jenny and myself co-hosting the Wednesday crew with Lido Nation leading us.